the only explanation right there. I saw this crazy news in the news recently. That's where you see news. It was an announcement from science. They figured out how to turn bone marrow into sperm. This is a real thing that happened. And I was like, don't we have way too much of one and not enough of the other in the other direction? Because I don't know about you guys, but I've never said, there's bone marrow everywhere. It's sticky, ugh. You know who doesn't like that is bad surgeons. They're like, yeah, it happened. People died. It's a good thing they're not here tonight. I don't like that none of the terrorists agree with me. All the terrorists, they're all for things like Islamic extremism or blowing up abortion clinics or whatever eco-terrorism is, and I don't give a shit about any of that. I wish we had more like center-left, like moderate but still extreme enough about it to be terrorists. I think that'd be great. Like they're like, hey, we need comprehensive campaign finance reform or we're gonna blow up another train station. They're like, yeah, we're finally doing something. We're making progress. They're like, hey, the states need to stop rejecting funding for high-speed rail so young people can travel in this country. And then they cut the head off of a journalist. And you're like, oh shit, I feel bad for the journalist, but this is my team. I'm not gonna root against them. Oh man. Like if they were blowing stuff up and then turning in detailed policy proposals based on peer-reviewed articles, that'd be fantastic. The president's assistant's like, sir, I know we don't negotiate with terrorists, but their demands are so reasonable. Because if you think about it, more people know more about ISIS and what they care about than know what the single-payer healthcare system is. Like, apparently this works. So my point is, if you agree with me, go buy a gun, and get your manifesto in order, and then be the change you want to see in the world. This guy sounds like he's actually going to do it. I don't know. He's like, someone finally told me I could do this. No, don't shoot a congressman. Yeah, I saw this article about Sally Ride recently, and this is 100% true. In 1983, when Sally Ride was about to be the first woman in space, she was going to be in space for 7 days. And a man that worked at NASA went up to her and said, so what, 100 tampons? And she said, no, not at all. And he said, well, just in case, right? Because men are apparently the dumbest, even when we're smart enough to work for NASA. That's like if you went to a sperm bank and a woman nurse came up and she was like, so like a 10-gallon trash can, that's big enough, right? Don't want anyone to drown. And because he's an idiot man, he goes, challenge accepted. And then dies somehow, I don't know. So I used to always think whenever old people were being racist, that old people were just hateful. And then I thought about it, and it's like, a lot changes in your life, and it's hard to deal with. Like, think about all the things that you see all the time that used to not even be allowed. Like black people getting married, a lesbian buying insurance for a boat, more than one Chinese man on the same helicopter. All those things were illegal like 30 years ago, right? I think I got that right. And so I was like, you know what, as I get older, I can deal with change. Like, gay marriage is legal, that's great, awesome, I can deal with change. But someone pointed out something that's probably going to happen that I'm not going to be okay with, which is my grandson's probably going to want to marry a robot. I was like, no, not okay with that. I'm going to be like, he's probably off having sex with that goddamn machine again. And that's all I'll call her, even though I know her name's Cheryl. She's a robot dentist. They're happy. But I'm just Archie Bunker in the year 3000. It's like, you know what? Back in my day, if you had sex with a toaster, you got burnt. Because that was God's will. Just asking them uncomfortable questions about their sex life. Like, did you have to get a male-to-female converter at the Radio Shack? Or did she come equipped? Radio Shack died before I wrote that joke. My grandson's not going to know what that is. Just asking my kids, I'm like, when you said he's doing good at computer class, is this what they're teaching him in computer class? Because in my day it was Oregon Trail, and then I never learned how to type correctly. That's what computer class used to be. point of that joke is, and this happens to every generation, but at some point in your life, somebody that you love is going to care very deeply about someone you didn't used to consider a person. And for me, that's my robot granddaughter-in-law, Cheryl. And I look forward to meeting her because I could really use another place to charge my phone. It's going to be great. Someone said that she was saving her virginity for Jesus, and I was like, bitch, what makes you think he wants that stanky-ass pussy? Not all my jokes are smart. Went from a sci-fi allegory for people being oppressed in our society to Jesus don't want your pussy. Hitting all the bases. I saw this really cool joke in a Laffy Taffy a little bit ago. And it was written by an 8-year-old, and it was, why did the bowling pins stop working? And the answer was, because they were on strike. Now that's amazing. It's not that funny, but it's amazing, because that was written by an 8-year-old that knows about labor relations. So what's his other joke? He's like, what does the exploitative capitalist when he falls and hits his leg? Scabs! This kid's reading way above his grade level. So I was inspired to write my own joke, and it's why did the bowling ball stop working? And it's a customer stuck her finger in all 3 holes, and it doesn't feel safe going back to work right now. So I don't know the rules at Laffy Taffy, but wait a couple months, buy a box. Look for Jeremy H. from Kirkwood, 28. Be like, guys, I saw this joke live. You guys have been great. Have a good night.